I love that Kate and Hannah are together.
We are. Oh. Hi, Sharon. Oh, I think she might have muted herself.
put the slide back. That's okay.
of this as a call and response. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
On behalf of the Music Director Search Task Force, I welcome everybody here tonight, and especially our guest, Music Director candidate, Dr. Amy Robertson. Amy Robertson is the Director of Lifelong Learning and the Director of Music at Congregation Or Hadash, a conservative synagogue in Sandy Springs, where she is the primary bima partner to the rabbi. A soprano, she grew up on Long Island, also playing piano and cello, and she is now 1/3 of the Jewish vocal trio, the Mamalehs. Amy was the first executive director of this fine institution, and before that, its education director. For several summers, she headed Jewish learning at Camp Havaya, the Reconstructionist summer camp in Pennsylvania, and she has taught Judaics at a Reform Day school in Atlanta, the Davis School. Amy holds a PhD in Hebrew Bible from Emory, as well as a master's degree from Harvard Divinity School. And on the side, these days, she co-hosts the podcast Bible Worm. In her application, Amy spoke of her passion for communal song and a growing interest in song as it is embedded in the liturgy and as it expands outward into other genres. She writes that she has intentionally moved away from a performance mentality toward musical endeavors that center joy and connection, including raising up song as an embodied experience and using nigunim to quiet the mind and connect the people in a room. And she describes her interest in playing in the musical spaces created by our tradition, but also in expanding them. Amy Robertson.
Well, I'm not Amy Robertson, but it says here that I'm supposed to welcome us. So you're gonna do a Kavanah before the candle lighting, so we shouldn't have people stand up just yet for candle lighting. Correct, okay. Well, so Shabbat Shalom. Buen Shabbat in Ladino. Good Shabbos in Yiddish. Welcome to your Shabbos. Welcome to your Sabbath. Welcome to the place where you can let go of whatever you were holding on to all this week. So, I'm gonna invite you to squeeze your eyes really tightly and have all of the tension in your eyes, all the things you have to look at. My eyes are closed, so I can't tell if you're doing this or not. But I'm gonna just count to backwards. 3, 2, 1, and open your eyes. And take a deep breath. And notice yourself not in those spaces where you were. Notice yourself in this space, a space of community and love, and family, chosen and biological and otherwise, a space of light and connection. This is your Shabbat. You can let go of everything else. Welcome.
Welcome. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So we opened with the words Min HaMetzar, Karatiya Anani B'merchavya. From the narrow place, from my tight chest and my fear and my scarcity, I called out and I was answered with spaciousness beyond my wildest dreams. These are words from Psalm 118, which is my very favorite of all the Psalms. And we sing them tonight because in addition to welcoming Shabbat, we're also welcoming a new month, the month of Iyar. And I'll tell you more about Iyar and our Torah portion and how music connects all those things in my mind. But first, I want to share with you just one teaching as a general Kavanah for this evening. One of the most fun parts of preparing for this weekend was I had an excuse to sort of cast about in the world of Jewish text and see what our predecessors in the world of Jewish thought have said about music. And I came upon one quote that really stood out to me. It's from a rabbi in 18th century Russia, Rabbi Pinchas of Koretz. He said, "Sometimes when a person sings, they cannot raise their voice. But when someone comes to help and sings strongly, this in turn gives the first person the ability to raise their own voice to match. This is the secret significance of uniting soul to soul." Your singing not only allows someone else to sing, not only creates that sort of safe space, like you're not the first voice into the void, and no one really wants to be that voice, but when it happens, you become joined together with the other people you're singing with. That's quite a statement. So, you will find Higalina on page 7. The transliteration is on page 9. The words are this gentle plea, reveal yourself. Come out of hiding. And I often think of singing them to the second soul that comes to us on Shabbat, or to the Sabbath bride, or maybe to some hidden part of myself. But with this teaching in mind, I will sing for you, and I will ask you to sing for me, and for the person 3 seats down for you. Higalina. Higale, gale, gale, ufros avivi alai, et suka, would like to invite up the Nancys, my hosts for this weekend, Nancy Kreisman and Nancy Miller, and ask you to light Shabbos candles for us. And I believe the mincha is to stand during candle lighting here. Is that correct? Yes?
Sometimes we like to stretch.
Sometimes we like to stretch.
Yeah, and
Okay, this is a moment to stretch.
breathe big into this moment, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, stretching, big stars, taking in the power of this space. And letting, as your arms swing down, maybe letting go of something that's still hanging on to you. Yeah. We'll bring this light into our hearts, into our souls.
We'll find the blessing on page 5.
And if you want to stretch out and bring in this light and this warmth once, twice, 3 times.
So we're about to, oh no, we're not about to launch into Kabbalat Shabbat yet. First we're going to sing Shalom Aleichem, which is on page 12. 13, 12. Shalom Aleichem, Malach Yesharem, Malach Elyon, Bimelech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom, Malach Yesharem, Malach Elyon, Bimelech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malach Yesharem, Malach Elyon, Bimelech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Shalom, Malach Shalom, Malach Elyon, Bimelech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Say it from the Shalom, Malach Shalom, Malach Elyon, Bimelech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malach Shalom, Malach Elyon, Bimelech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Gonna wake us up. Okay, now we're about to head into Kabbalat Shabbat. And as we do, I want to say just one word about these psalms that we sing over the course of Kabbalat Shabbat. Most of them alternate between 2 different kinds of beginnings. Either it's calling us to sing, which it does with a lot of different verbs, so if you don't have a lot of Hebrew background, you might not recognize it. They're all calls to sing. Or it's Adonai Malach, which is literally God reigns, or the forces for good in the world prevail, or love wins. The way this is imagined in these psalms, like how this actually plays out, is that there is this divine force that, really that can do anything, but the examples that are given are, to make the rivers clap their hands, to make the waters move in ways that water would never move. Water in particular, we'll talk about this more later, is there's a fear of big bodies of water in the biblical text. There's a sense that you don't know what they're going to do. You know they're very powerful. They have forces that can overcome you. And so the fact that there is some force that can overcome the water is a very good thing for you. So we will start with L'chu Naranana, which is on page 21. Naranana means to sing joyfully. L'chu Naranana. Page 25. Shiru, another verb to sing. Shiru Adonai, Shir Kadosh, Shiru Adonai, Onaret, Shiru Adonai, Baruch Shemo, Asru Miyom, Yom Yeshuato. You gotta sing more. It was beautiful. I don't have the page written down for Psalm 98. Yiram Hayam. But they go pretty much in order. 32, 33, yes. There is some intergenerational wisdom I have received about leading services as a guest in a community, and it is this: thou shalt not mess with Lecha Dodi. However, I have messed with Lecha Dodi. Okay, so there is a melody that I learned recently that just has me charmed like a snake. It's a Hasidic melody that I learned from a singer named Chana Raskin, who just put out this gorgeous album. She grew up in the Hasidic community herself, and she put out an album of all women's voices singing these nigunim, and it's just incredible. And I love this one in particular, and the words it is set to on the album are from the High Holiday liturgy. So I've been like waiting and like asking my rabbi, like, are you sure there's no other time we can insert that liturgy into the calendar? And she said no. But a couple of weeks ago, I was watching a Facebook video of a congregation in Jerusalem that has a wonderful musical community, and they used it for Lecha Dodi. So, we're going to use it for Lecha Dodi. Here's what I'll tell you about the melody. It's not complicated. It repeats. It wants to be in your body, not in your head. It's slow. You have to let it be in your body. I highly recommend moving in some way if you're comfortable doing that. And then halfway through, we're going to change speed entirely. So just, don't lock your knees. We'll have a good time. Lecha Dodi is on page 41, and we'll do the traditional verses of 1, 2, 5, 8, and 9.
seated. So you were talking about the Kabbalat Shabbat Psalms and how they talk about which singing or God ruling. God rules. And then this Psalm 92, we step out and we say, wow, all the stuff that you've done, so good. We really like that, God. Well done. And so it's up to us now to acknowledge it and appreciate it. So, Tov L'Hodot L'Adonai, it's good to give thanks to Adonai, meaning, let's do something good. What's going well for you? What is a thumbs up in your world, even if it's teeny tiny? Jackie Sherman, first.
14-mile bike ride with one of my best friends.
14-mile bike. So you got a high five for that? Padow. Nice. Up hills, up and down? Kind of. I mean, it's no Lauren Levin, 40 miles, 90-degree heat in the LBJ's house, But, I like yours better. Nice. Mackenzie.
I am 15 for 15 Omer inspired art pieces.
Nice.
Wow. There we go.
That you're creating every day?
Every day.
That's amazing. Wow. Okay. Can't wait to see them. Ori.
It's my birthday next week.
It's your birthday next. So 35, 36?
It's 6, but I'm pretty close.
It's 6. Pretty close. It's only 30 off. Do I have a hand over here? Okay, one and 2. Yeah. Where's you raising your hand? Liesel's with her cup. Fantastic. Yay. Oh, so 1 and then 2 and then 3. How's that?
We moved into our new house.
Moved into your new house. Oh, you might want to have a little Hanukkah bayit, a little dedication of the house. I know a guy. Debbie.
It is hard to talk in front of people.
It is hard to talk about in front of you. Sure. For some of us.
Our oldest CBH-raised kid
Yeah.
is graduating with the highest of honors from Georgia Tech and headed to Chapel Hill.
To do a PhD at Chapel Hill? And does this oldest have a name? Because I don't remember. Emily. And what will the...
Some of you know.
Well, yeah, I've only been here like 10 seconds. So, and the PhD is going to be in? Chemistry. Wait, I got a headache just thinking about it. Wow, smart people. Susan.
Mackenzie and I went to Rome, Georgia this past week and gave a talk to some people about rising up and helping people with disability.
Wow. This is an intensive talk to folks in Rome, Georgia about helping people with disabilities. And Amy Price had a meeting here this week on Tuesday about helping folks in the same, which we were so glad this could be a place that we offer to the community to do justice work. Sandra.
Yes, I am delighted to be here with all of you. I'm excited to hear Amy, and I'm coming to you from New York City.
Ooh, where in New York City? Where in New York City are you? I'm so excited.
Times Square.
Times Square. Okay, we'll talk. The other places you could go, Sandra. I'm going to send you to those places. I see David Cohen has a hand up.
I just celebrated 25 years working at Piedmont Hospital.
Hey, Mazel Tov. Ruben.
I am in San Francisco, and I got to visit both my mom and my dad, who are both 92 years old.
92. Wow. That's amazing. I think for all of these blessings, yeah, all of the big and little hallelujah moments, yeah, it says you're doing this. Yeah, page 49, Psalm 92.
All of us are doing it.
We're all doing it. Okay. I'm still learning.
Tov L'Hodot.
Where I just did.
Yikada v'yikada shemei rabba. Adivrach yute v'yamlech machute. Echayechon yomechon uchayecho bet Yisrael. Bagada ubizman karim yimeru amen. Yehesh meraba mevorach leolam omer amaya yitah. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach, yitvar ve'yitromam, ve'yitnaseh, yitadar ve'yidaleh, yitalal shamei dekusha berichu. May be seated. I would like to invite up Bill Witherspoon, who's going to offer us some words related to another celebration today, new month, Shabbat, and also Earth Day.
Anybody who knows me well knows this is a very uncharacteristic thing for me to be carrying a volleyball. But it has a purpose. So very holy day happened 53 years ago tomorrow, which was the first Earth Day. And it was partly inspired by the view from the moon that was in 1968. And the astronaut who took that picture said, we came all this way to explore the moon, and the most important thing is we discovered the Earth. And people got really sort of thinking, hey, what are we doing? Are we taking care of this planet? And so we're now coming to Rosh Chodesh, so there's a nice connection with the moon. And at this point, I'm going to pull out my notes and remember what I'm going to say next. And so this is the moon, okay? and you're the sun, okay? And I'm the earth. And just in Australia yesterday, this came through, and the people in Australia couldn't see the sun. There was a solar eclipse. And so you know, when it's a new moon, the side of the moon that the Earth sees here is dark, right? And that side's lit. But guess what somebody on the moon will see? You are lighting me up. The Earth is completely lit up. Okay. And this is, so, but the light of the moon is pale and colorless, and the light of the Earth has color. And so I think I'm at a point where, yeah, I think we're ready for the next slide. So this is a shot that was taken in 1972, the very last journey to the moon. Some people would say the last for now, but the last astronauts to the moon took this picture. And you can see right in the middle of it is the place that we came from. We're all from that place. Right in the middle of that part of Africa is where we all came out of that spot. And up at the very top of it is the place that we just faced when we did the Baruch Hu, Jerusalem. But if you're on the moon, that's not just staying fixed like that. Like the moon always shows the same face to the Earth. But guess what the Earth does? It's rotating. So every 24 hours you're going to see all the different colors of the Earth, right? And so you found a little piece of paper, and I have deep regrets that I didn't make a whole lot more of them. So, so some of you will find a little piece like this, and on this side is a small representation. If you go ahead and do the next slide there, it looks, so you see something like this, okay. And out in the foyer where we've got a table, an action table for Earth Day, there's a big version of this that you can look at. So anyway, on the back side of this, if you're where you can show it to the people around you, there's some save the dates. On May the 11th, the next Green Team meeting, Ayola, who's sitting back there, right in front of the banner of Kol Shema, of everything, let every creature give its voice. Ayola, who just gave us this Green Team logo, which you can look up out on the table too. It's got lots of details, so it's gorgeous. She's going to be leading a discussion about environmental racism and taking us through what that feels like and what that's about. And then on June 22nd, we're going to have a big, we hope a big gathering here, potluck, a schmooze, and some education. And we're going to look into the future. We're going to say, or actually we're going to look into the past. We're going to put ourselves in 2050, the middle of the century, and we're looking back and we're saying, how in the world did this miracle happen that we got rid of carbon pollution? Okay, and we're going to look back and we'll say, what did we do at CBH to make that happen? Okay, and that's going to help us envision what we can do at CBH to make this happen, make this come about. So that's what the June program is going to happen on the 20th anniversary. We were the first synagogue in Atlanta to sign a covenant with Georgia Interfaith Power and Light, which had just been founded that year, and we started doing things around the environment back then. So that's going to be on the 22nd of June. But up at the top of this is kind of enigmatic thing, and you can share with the person next to you. It says, "You're reading," okay? And so there are 4 different colors of earthlight we're going to tell about. And I'm going to ask you to stand up. If I call your color, I want you and whoever can see your little slip to stand up and with your color, and you're going to read that color, okay? So the first color I'm going to call out is blue. So stand up if it says blue, okay? more people than that. Maybe about a quarter of the people in here, hopefully, can stand up and see the thing that says blue. I try to distribute them fairly evenly. Okay. So up at the top of the little white thing, it says blue. And it says blue, so let's read this out. Blue, what? Means a planet with water. The first condition for life. Okay. And so then if yours is white, stand up. Okay. White at the poles says some water is frozen. White in clouds says this planet has an atmosphere with water vapor. Okay, you can sit down. If it says brown, you can stand up. Brown speaks of oxygen to rust the iron-bearing rock and soil. And you can sit down. And then the green earth light, if you green, stand up. And green, of course, means there is photosynthesis, including on land. Okay. So we've got all these colors of earth light bathing you if you're on the moon. So we can read, if you go to the next slide there, we'll zoom in on that part that just shows the phases of the moon. And around it are all pictures taken by Apollo astronauts on various missions with their time of the lunar month. And that corresponds to the phase of the moon you see on the inside. But what we want to conclude with is we've got this colorless companion. And what does it tell us? Let's all read this together. What a blessing to have a colorless companion to the earth, to remind us to guard the garden that gives us life. Okay. And so that's, before I sit down, I just want to invite you to check out the opportunities on the back of the piece of paper. And if you don't care about taking it home with you, then pass it to somebody who did. I apologize that there weren't more of them. But out in the foyer, you will find my friend Henry Slack with Citizens Climate Lobby has a table for Earth Day, and so check that out. And and also if you're on Zoom, the words that are on this little sheet and the link are going to the chat right now. Thanks for the time.
Thank you for your words and for your work. You left the moon! You left us the moon! I'm going to pick up at the star on page 59. Umavir yom umevi laila umavdil ben yom uven laila Adonai tzebaot shemo El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam ba'ed Baruch atah Adonai Amari Page 63. Avat olam beit Yisrael,
going to go right into the Shema on 65. ואהבתך לא תסור ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. Shema turn to page 70, page 70, as we join together in the English. So place these words upon your heart, into your life breath. Bind them as a sign upon your hand, and let them rest before your eyes. Teach them to your children, speaking of them when you sit at home, and when you walk upon the road, when you lie down, and when you rise. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates, so that your days and your children's days be many on the land, the faithful one promised to give your ancestors, as long as heaven rests upon the earth. On page 73, let's see, it's 3.5 lines from the bottom of the Hebrew. If you want the transliteration, it's on 285. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לרעיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Adonai Elohechem, Emet. In a moment, we're going to chant together the Mi Chamocha prayer, our liberation prayer. And, you know, I mostly want to stay out of the way for these services, these 3 weekends. But some things have happened this week that I just feel like this is the place where we talk about liberation. Yeah, and if you look on page 76, this is Mordechai Kaplan, the founder of Reconstructionism, his interpretation of Mi Chamocha, and he talks about when human rulers usurp divine authority, that those tyrants' hearts are hardened, and we know Pharaoh's hearts are hardened. A couple things happened here this week in Atlanta. There was the death of a prisoner in the Fulton County Jail, and we found out that his body was literally consumed because there was lice in this cell, and it is disgusting. And I'm sorry, I'm bringing it up on Shabbat, but this happened in our city, and there was an autopsy released from Tortuguita, who was a protester at the police training facility site, and found that there was no there was no residue from a gun on his hands, which and the understanding was that the police responded with their shots against Tortuguita, because they had been shooting first. I just want you to know I don't have all the answers, and I don't have all the information, and I'm new here in this town, in this state, and I try to bring humility here because I don't know. But I'm inviting us to note what Kaplan said about the tyrant's hearts being hardened, and to not let that happen to us, not to let us say that was in some jail that I'll never go to, and that was in some forest that I don't really know about. I'm going to invite us to together find out more, and to let this get in and fill our hearts with the inspiration to move, just like these Israelites. Sometimes it took a while, it took a couple hundred years for them to move. But we've got to have that softness around our hearts, so we can know what happens in our city, and know that it's up to us as Jews to find that softness and to find a way forward. And so in honor of liberation and what is possible when we move together, Mi Chamocha is on page 79.
Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai Mi Kamocha Neda B'Kodesh Nora
of power, and this particular expression of power in that more quiet and still place is so lovely. You will find Ufros Aleinu on page 81. We pray for a sukkah of peace to shelter us all.
Ufros Aleinu Sukkat Shlomecha V'taknenu be'etz haTorah milfanecha ve'hoshi'enu Ufros Aleinu Sukkat Shlomecha Ve'hoshi'enu ותכננו עץ התורה לפניך,
In honor of Shabbat, we turn to page 85 and we rise in body or spirit to celebrate coming together on this day.
Before we move on to the Amida, I would like to offer a word of Torah.
Yeah, Torah.
Yeah, Torah. We love you, Torah. So today was Rosh Chodesh Iyar, the beginning of a new month. And I have heard Iyar described in many ways, but my favorite is, it's like the first day back from vacation kind of month. Not because anything particularly bad is happening, it's just kind of a return to the daily grind after the really peak experience of Passover last month. It's not very exciting compared to crossing the Red Sea or horseradish eating contests. In the month of Iyar, the big mitzvah to speak of is not to make a pilgrimage or give up bagels, it's to count the days. Just count them. This month also boasts the most true to life of all the Jewish holidays, Pesach Sheni, your backup date in case your Passover plans were ruined by some nonsense that life throws at you. For all the insistence in the Torah, and there is a lot, that rituals must be observed with impeccable care, in precise ways at precise times, this month we get a little nod to the fact that some things are just out of your control. People get sick. Weather turns bad. And as luck would have it, our Torah portion this week really underscores this nosedive into day-to-day reality. The topic? Mostly skin rashes, and also several types of bodily fluids of a personal nature, which emerge from one's body unbidden and which cannot be controlled. It's such a stark contrast. We're in the middle of the book of Leviticus. Everything is so carefully controlled in this ritual environment, but y'all, we're not in the tabernacle anymore. We are in our bodies, and our bodies care not about our rules. When my daughter was very young, I don't remember her ever pretending to be an Israelite crossing the sea and witnessing divine power control the chaos of the waters. However, she often reenacted the most dramatic eruption of chaos that she had personally experienced by playing a game that we called the vomitorium. She would take out all the plastic snack bowls in our house and put them in a circle and take out all her stuffed animals and put each toy's face in a bowl and go around and check on her little nauseated dolls, trying to contain their toy vomit in a bowl. So you see why I feel at home in ER, and even in this Torah portion, Tazria Mitzorah. Real life is a little chaotic. We get through the days. Sometimes something gross happens. We make plans, people get sick, and we reschedule. I find it wonderful and strange that the Torah both insists on this divine order with a capital O, and also finds these little sidebars that I can only describe as chaos bubbling through. There shall be chaos, it shall bubble through. But the Torah doesn't offer any further comment about the coexistence of these things. You have to dig a little bit deeper to understand how they can both be in there. So we can trace the coexistence of order and chaos in the biblical story all the way back to the first story of creation. In that story, when God began to create the world, it seems as though there was just this massive body of watery chaos everywhere, on every plane, across the surface of the earth as we know it, but also vertically. And so one of God's first acts was to push the water out of the way. First, push the water up behind the firmament so there can be air, then push the water aside so there can be dry land. But it's never destroyed. The chaos isn't neutralized. It's like it's caged. It's pushed to the side. So what happened to it? The rabbis call these waters, the waters of chaos, the Tehom, the deep. And they say it was pushed down into the center of the earth. Down, down, down. Sort of like how you shove things into a closet when you don't know what else to do with them. And for good measure, because there was a lot of chaos shoved down there, they said the temple, the ancient temple, was ultimately built like on top of the divine manhole cover. It's like putting a really ornate dresser in front of your closet door. What could go wrong with that system? I'll tell you. There is a story in the Talmud that when King David set out to build the temple, he nearly destroyed the world. Now, King David was kind of an impetuous guy. I don't know how much you know about him, but he followed his passions. And as soon as he got the idea that God ought to have a temple, he got a shovel and he started digging. And he dug and dug and unknowingly got closer and closer to the Tehom. But what he came upon first was not the waters of chaos, thank God, but a teapot. He asked the teapot, I'm not kidding, this is in the Talmud. He asked the teapot, "What are you doing here?" And the teapot said, "My job is to hold back the Tehom." Now I know what you're thinking. That's a pretty fragile system there. It's a pretty weird that the title like interim chaos barrier was given to such a small piece of pottery. And maybe that's why David didn't believe it. So David just picked up the teapot and threw it out of the way. And the teapot was telling the truth. And now the chaos was free. And the flood waters began to rise up and threaten to undo creation. So what could David possibly do in that moment? Run? Swim. Better than running. Pray. What David did was sing. And with each song, the story goes, the waters receded further. It took 15 songs until the water voluntarily returned to its place. I think the rabbi's point in telling this story was that the power of song on some kind of cosmic level is profound. I agree. But I also really kind of like the fact that it's a musician who lets some of the chaos out in the first place. It's an artist who won't let us pretend it's not there. And while all those lovely psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat are born from this sense of gratitude for order in the universe, here it's the presence of chaos that brings song into the world, and the presence of music that allows chaos and creation to coexist. Now, if I were a poet mystic, this is the part where I would capture in words exactly how that works. But my most profound experiences of music don't produce any logical sequence of words. Really, it's the opposite. Music quiets my thoughts entirely, and I know from reading some Hasidic rabbis that I'm not the only person, the only Jew who has that experience. The Piazetzner Rebbe, who is the rabbi of the Warsaw Ghetto, prescribes precisely this, nigunim, these wordless melodies, as a way to hear the divine voice, because it turns down the volume on all of the other thoughts that run through your head. I think I experience words and music on two different planes, like the two things never really bump into each other, and I can only be on one plane at a time. So I don't have words, but sometimes I have images. And often these have to do with boundaries sort of flickering and fading. When I was a child, maybe 5th or 6th grade, I played for the first time in the little all-county orchestra. It was a huge group of kids compared to the tiny little school orchestra I was used to. And we sat in the gym, and the conductor raised his arms, and we started sawing away at our little instruments, playing Masterpiece Theater. And if I close my eyes, I can still almost conjure the enormity of the sound for me to be surrounded by 100 kids playing on their little instruments. And I'm telling you, what I remember is that the floor disappeared. And it was like we were floating there in the room. And I know this sounds crazy, but whenever I tell this story, someone finds me later and says, yes, I know what you're talking about. Enough people that it makes me wonder which world is true. There's another kind of boundary that flickers and fades, and I wonder if you've experienced this one. It's the boundaries between us as individual people in the room making the music. Scientists have tried to measure this one and have actually found that when people make music together, especially when they sing, their physiological systems align. Our breath, our heartbeats. It reminds me of those aspen groves out west, where when you look at them, it looks like there's a whole forest of individual trees. Really, it's one root system. You're looking at one organism. When we sing together, we're reminded that we are one organism, joined soul to soul. Okay, if you want to talk more about mysticism and portals, or talk about boundaries and boundarylessness as it relates to the Omer, come tomorrow night. I'll bring some fun text to look at. But it is ER, it is back to the grind, and we are needed in the vomitorium. So, David sings to the waters of chaos, and because of that, they do not destroy the world. What does that mean for our daily lives? Years ago, I read an article about a new, I don't know if it was new, got an article, so I guess it was new, a new approach to dealing with a very young child's tantrums. That really pointed expression of daily chaos we might encounter. And what it said was that before you can move on to soothing your child or distracting your child, the child has to know that you see them. You understand their anger. And for an older child, you can probably express this just by telling them in words, but a young child's language is very minimal. So you might have to try to reflect differently that you understand. Maybe by mimicking the sort of staccato patterns of the child's own speech, or intentionally using the same words that the child is using to you. And it makes me wonder if the very boundary erasing nature of music is what allows it to speak, like really speak to chaos in our bodies and in the world. a chaos that refuses any kind of order that we try to impose on it. If I cannot quell my own distress with words and logic, maybe that's because that's not the plane where the distress is. But music can get there, can meet this powerful, boundary-erasing waters of chaos with the powerful, boundary-erasing flow of song. And because of that, it can quell it, or ride it, or transform it. And so we sing to the sick and the dying, and we sing when we're late, when we're lonely, and when our plans fall apart. And we sing when we see that our world is upside down with injustice. And as we work and as we advocate and as we stand together, we must also sing to endure it or harness it or unite with one another. Amidst the daily upheaval of the month of Iyar, my blessing for us is this. May the chaos in the world call us to song, and may that song unite us soul to soul so that we can face the day together, and so that together we can transform the world. As we prepare for the Amida, please join me in singing to Batia Levine's beautiful Kavanah, We Rise. I think words will appear on the screen. We rise, humble-hearted rise, we won't be divided, rise, with spirit to guide us, rise, in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here in hope, in prayer. We find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here and we rise. All of the children rise, elders with wisdom rise, ancestors surround us rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here in hope, in prayer. We find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here and we rise up from the wreckage, rise with tears and with courage, rise, fighting for life to rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here in hope, in prayer. We find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here and we rise, humble-hearted rise. We won't be divided, rise, with spirit to guide us, rise.
Amida is said silently. It's on pages 90 to 107. There are additions for the second day of Rosh Chodesh, which you will find on pages, you will find on pages 98. I gotta go back to work. Find on pages 98 and 99. Take as much time as you need. And when you get to the end of your Amida, please be seated.
If you're still davening, please continue.
Take this time to call into our hearts the people in our world who are in need of healing, whether it is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual healing. Will and Amy are going to lead us in Mishabera. I'll invite you, do this in between parts. We've got some names up here that we'll share. Invite you to also share names out loud of anybody who needs your prayers. Cures are not always possible. There's not always physical healing that can happen, but there's always some sort of healing that is available, and always know that your prayers matter. Mishmera.
This is call and response. Avotenu, Makor HaChaim,
Tracy Stern Cox, Richard Adler, Richard Cohen, Jenny Williams Cohen, Sharon Miller, Rosalie Levy, Peppy Lurie, Naya Brown, Mona Lisa Schultz, Linda Staples, Amy Kraft, Naomi Stauber, Carla Caraballo, Sarah Griscom, Margie Asheroff, Talia Bad Yehudit, Ginny Heinzen, Nancy Gerber, Scott Gerber, Billy Nach, Ann Schley, Peter Bauer, Leslie Bauer, Malcolm Estroff, Steve Somers, Alan Brendel, Sharon Kuttner, Janet Harden, Susan Finelli, Beth Prestwood, Abby Drew, Shelley Kotliar, Jay Rosen, Diane Dexter, Don Tarter, Ada Namcombe, Fran Shahar, Jessica Brown, Yiska Batalia, Teresa Barnett, Missana Coyne, Ben Esther, David Friedman, Sonny Caldwell, Benjamin Gittleson, Terry Bahacek, Elaine Harris, Marjorie Adler, and Libby Sprick, Jonas Bister, Gertrude Bronstein, Elizabeth Cohen, Ruth Canfer, Melissa Cutler, Jerry Cagle, Shoshana Mitzner, Carolyn Levant Lee, Simcha Bat Haviva, Dave Schechter, David Ben Sarah, and the other names as I come to your gaze.
Phyllis Harlan.
Bernice Kevin. Stella Stensberg.
Wendy Davis.
Janice Stern and John Cox. Thomas Spratt. Washington Good, Meredith Cook.
The piercings.
Mike Reed. Anthony Taylor.
Fort Smith. David Bach.
Brad Marquardt. Carl Bush.
Carolyn Becker.
Karen Hudson.
Robert Grieger, Richard Rollins.
Joel Marks.
Anyone on Zoom who wants to let's say a name? I invite you to unmute and say names.
Lila Burrow, Judy Cohen.
Mickey Fisher, Bob Schwartz, Yolanda Usher, Samantha, Andy Siegel, Cheryl Wilday, Rabbi Chava Bela, Jim Thomas, Ray Kibler.
Bonnie Van Adelsberg, Carol Ornstein.
Baruch atah Adonai Rofeh HaCholim. Blessed are you, Adonai, healer of the sick. We say Amen. Amen. Invite you to wherever you find it to join us in the prayer for the end of hiding. As LGBTQ Jews, we are aware of the loss of integrity we suffer due to pressures of the larger society. We often feel forced into a dishonest presentation of ourselves, to ourselves, and others. The LGBTQ individuals who feel they must pretend to be something they are not. The Jews who feel they must be alienated from their tradition and community to win larger acceptance. Both are victims of a theft of identity and integrity committed by the sexual, gender-identifying, or religious majority. Creator of the universe, we ask that our hiding draw to an end, that we no longer feel that we have to pretend, to promise falsely, to renounce ourselves, and that our fullest creative expression as Jews and as lesbian, gay, transgender, bisexual, and queer people be among the blessings bestowed upon us. And we say amen. We are in this day-to-day journey between liberation and figuring out what liberation is for, between Passover and Shavuot. You hear some people are using it for creative expression. We're trying to figure out where we fit into this world as we prepare for Sinai. We are thus counting this day-by-day, step-by-step path to purpose through the counting of the Omer. There is a blessing for counting this Omer on page 675. I would tell you what day it was, but then that would make the blessing pointless because the blessing is for counting. And so what I'm going to tell you, this is the way that Judaism works, you know. You got to do this, but you don't. Yeah, okay. We just finished day 15, and again, make with the fancy math. You know what comes next. It's going to be on page 677 and 676. What we come to next. So I invite you to join with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat haomer hayom shisha asar yom shehem shnei shavuot ushnei yamim laomer. This is the 16th day, making 2 weeks and 2 days of the Omer. May God teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. And we are going to continue with Aleinu. So we turn to page 121 and rise in body or spirit. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol l'tegru l'yotzer breshit shenatan lanu Torah demet V'hayei olam nata b'torheinu v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Let the power of your rule repair the world. Latakein olam b'malchut Shaddai. Kakatu b'toratecha, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, v'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai, l'melech al kol ha'aretz, bayom ha'hu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo, seated. We declare our awareness and insist on recognizing our awareness of the holiness that courses through every fiber of this world, in joy and in sadness, in life and in death, by chanting together, by saying together, Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. Is there anyone who is remembering a recent death or the yard site, the year-time anniversary of a death, and who would like to say those names? I invite you to stand up if you'd like. Say those names out loud.
Rosalind Fernhoff.
Rosalind Fernhoff.
Lois Birch.
Lois Birch.
Paul Fiersig.
Paul Fiersig.
Laura Fell.
Laura Fell.
Bryn West.
Marilyn Berman.
Berman.
And
Susan Bennett. Nancy Gray.
Nancy Hayes.
Nancy Hayes.
Mary Erlander.
Ellie Irvin.
Jamie Robertson.
Jamie Robertson. Anyone Anybody on Zoom who'd like to unmute and share a name?
For all those throughout the world who without our Kaddish would have no memorial.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Manuel Tehran.
Leonard Stearns.
Pardon me. Any other names?
Leonard Stearns.
Leonard Stearns. You'll find our Kaddish on page 131. It is our custom when we get to...
Manuel Tehran.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes.
Leonard Stearns.
Leonard Stearns, yes.
Our bird, Mikey, Nancy's dog, Lucy, Nancy Gray. Leonard Stearns.
It's our custom when we get to the fourth line of Kaddish, we rise as a community in support of the people who are standing before us, as well as in memory of those who die every day of war, of hate, of abuse, of hunger, improper health care, neglect, those killed amongst the Jewish people, Al Kaddish Hashem, for the sanctification of God's name. Again, Kaddish Tell Mourners Kaddish, 131. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma Divra Hirute, Be'amlich Malchute, B'chayechon Uvyomechon, U'v'chaye B'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala U'vizman Kariv V'yimru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah V'barach, V'olam Kulalmei Almaya, Yibarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yithadar, V'yithaleh, V'yithalal, Shemei Udishah, Barichu, La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, damiran v'yoma, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, amen. Useh shalom b'roma, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yal kol yoshvei tevel, amen. Zecher Tzadik Livracha, the memory of our righteous ones, is always for a blessing. We say amen. Amen. Please be seated. We're going to have some announcements in just a second. There's a busy month, like you said, Amy, and so something has snuck up upon us a little bit, which is Yom HaAtzmaut, to be Israel Independence Day. I just wanted, it didn't make it to the announcements. It's coming up this week. And a few different possibilities that you should know about. Wednesday, April 26th, 6 p.m. is the large Atlanta community celebration. Atlanta celebrates Israel at 75, hosted by Nadia Bilchik of CNN and Anad Soltan, Consul General of Atlanta. The JCC is having a food truck festival at Brook Run Park with kids' activities and musical performances on Thursday, 5 to 8:30. This coming Sunday, outside the Israeli consulate, will be a pro-democracy protest rally and Yom HaAtzmaut celebration. So it's a protest and a celebration together, organized by local Israelis living in Atlanta. They are encouraging folks to bring signs, musical instruments, and festive Israeli foods and treats. No registration is required. Again, that's this Sunday. And I do want to share this prayer written by my colleague, Rabbi Ayelet Cohen, for North American Jews on the 75th anniversary of Israel's founding. It's short, and we'll get to the announcements. Source of life, maker of wonders, bless the state of Israel and all the inhabitants of the land. Protect her with infinite compassion. Spread over her your shelter of peace. Strengthen the hearts and the will of its citizens, calling out for justice and democracy. May their voices ring out like a shofar throughout the land, a budding redemption. Help them replant what has been uprooted and tend what has been neglected, so the seedling promises of refuge and equality blossom and thrive. May their feet not give way, let them not tire, nor slumber, nor succumb to fear. Grant strength and courage, nurture a shared future for all who call the land home. Healer of the brokenhearted, sustain our hope. Help us celebrate what was and is miraculous in Israel's founding. Help us grieve all that has been lost in the realization of that dream. May we be strong enough and honest enough to carry the shattered along with the whole. May our love and our commitment to the vision of the prophets endure like honey from the rock. May we be partners with the divine and with all the inhabitants of the land in establishing and protecting justice, peace, and joy. And we say, Amen. Now I will invite a representative from the board, I believe. Is it Marcy?
Of course.
Okay.
2 weeks in a row, oh my gosh.
All right, is there a cover charge for this performance? 2 drink minimum?
We already paid.
We already paid, oh, very good. Very good. Good. Come on up.
Okay, well, I got this, it's all good. Okay. Because, you know, they got to hear me on Zoom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I am Marcy Alt, I'm a board member, and I want to thank you guys, everybody for coming here tonight, whether they're here or on Zoom. So first, let's thank Rebecca Staplewax for being a greeter tonight. Woohoo! The CBH on-site staff, Abby Garcia's in the back on Zoom. Of course, you can find Kelvin out front or moving a chair or something. The police officer, huh? It's Greg this week. Saying it says. Okay. Let's see. The police officer tonight is Jason, right? Lieutenant Jason. Rabbi, thank you for services. Amy, you are fabulous. It's such a pleasure to have you back in this house. Always you will. My heart for you. Let's see, ONEG sponsors tonight is Rena Rosenberg. And she's doing it. Rina, I'm sorry. Sorry. It's on behalf of the music director's search task force. The Brit Mitzvah, Bela and Harper tomorrow. It's at 9:30 tomorrow morning. Havdalah and more with Dr. Amy Robertson tomorrow night at 8 p.m. There's a CBH board meeting on Tuesday at 5 if anybody wants to join us. It's so much fun. It is. CBH's next art night is on Tuesday, April 25th at 6:30. A CBH call to the end of mass incarceration is on Thursday, April 27th at 7 p.m. Tamara wanted to be here tonight, but she's not. So Michelle's waving her arms in the back. You can go see Michelle. She will be more than happy to talk to you about it. Every Monday is mindful. Every Monday through Friday is Mindful Moments from 8:45 a.m. on Zoom. Torah study is every Tuesday from noon on Zoom. 15-minute evening minions, Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m. and Saturday at 6. Awesome. All right, let's mark our calendars now. Next weekend services are at 7:30, and it'll follow Havdalah on Saturday at 8. The Brit Mitzvah Aaron Kersel is next Saturday, April 29th, and it'll be at CUCC. There's an in-person chant on Sunday, April 30th. And it's at 8:15 a.m. Visit CBH. CBH visit to the room of the rescuers and the resistors is at 2 p.m. on Sunday, April 30th. Huh?
At the Bremen Museum.
It's at the Bremen Museum.
Bremen.
It's at the Bremen Museum. Imbibing the Bible with Rabbi Mike. Hey. Feel free. All right, details on all these programs you can find. Where can you find them? That's right. Sarah. I got your name right.
Just a quick word that, as you know, we want to hear from congregants about our wonderful music director candidates. We warmly invite you to fill out one brief survey for each event you attend or watch. tonight, the Havdalah tomorrow, the Minyan at the Sunday school, 9:30 Sunday morning. Use the links shared online in Zoom or YouTube or via email, or you can just pick up the QR code by the door and outside there and fill that out later on your phone. If you need a paper survey to discreetly fill out and leave with us tonight, please find one of us on the task force over here, and we'll give you that. And a note about a deadline change, surveys will now be due each Monday at midnight. If you can hack that, please do. Thanks for planning accordingly and sharing your feedback while it's fresh. We can't wait to hear what you think. And again, thanks to Amy.
And thank you to the task force.
And, if you get your survey in by Monday, Sarah will send you a mug.
Or a tote bag.
Is that not true? That's not true. Never mind. We're gonna finish.
Finish strong.
Finish strong. Are you staying up here? You're just gonna hang out? What are you doing? We're gonna finish with Osei Shalom on 133.
Kaddish and Motzi.